Hey, my YouTube friends. We probably don't recognize each other. It's been so long since I did a live stream. We went from being pretty good about doing it every Friday night to now, I probably haven't done it in over a month. So if you guys have abandoned me, I understand it totally, but hopefully you haven't. We're going to try to get things rolling here in a minute. There's a ton going on right now. Of course, I have on another monitor over here. Um, I'm streaming live from our Civic Center here in Lake Charles, Louisiana. President Donald Trump just landed here a couple of miles down the road from where I'm at, and he will be speaking. If you see Trump at his rally tonight is right down the road here in Lake Charles. That's where I live, in Lake Charles, Louisiana, and that's where Trump just landed, right here in Lake Charles. So yeah, Trump's here in town. Trump's 10 minutes from my house right now, at the Civic Center. I went by there earlier to talk to a bunch of gun people. I kind of wanted to get, talk to some folks about, some of the things that Trump appears to stand for. You know my thoughts on that. That I don't think Trump is anti-gun. I just don't think he's pro-gun. I don't think he's pro-Second Amendment. I don't. That doesn't mean I think he's anti-Second Amendment. I just don't think he's pro-Second Amendment. So I went down there to try to talk to a bunch of the hardcore Trump supporters about what their thoughts were. Especially down here in the South. I wanted to know, all right, guys, what do y'all think about all this? I'll get into some of my answers here in a minute. Since it's been so long since I had a live stream, and I do apologize, guys. So much is going on. Nothing bad is going on, but a lot is going on. Believe it or not, being this far out, I'm preparing for SHOT Show right now. It's October. SHOT Show is what? November, December, January, 3 months away. That just goes to show you how much preparation goes into it, and all the crap that I'm trying to put together right now and deal with. I'm going to go in here and do some shout outs for you guys, because I know a lot of you, many of you have reached out to me and asked, hey, is everything okay? Haven't seen you on live stream in a while, and I do apologize. I try to answer most of you whenever I can. Things have been going on, just very, very busy in a different kind of way. Still very much gun related. You're going to start seeing a lot more videos from me, but let me do some shout outs real quick, since you guys have been so good and patient to me. Richard Portella, how you doing? E-Rock, Matthew Turner, Daniel Waters, what's going on? Make America Great Again. Dubai Antamano, finally another chat. Yeah, finally, I'm sorry. Kyle Martin, Big Mo, Hyben Ramirez, let's see here, Court Wilson, Rodney Hendrickson, S2 Strategic. What's going on, Nick? How you doing, buddy? Nick texted me a little while ago, and I haven't got a chance to respond back to him because I'm still trying to catch up on him. No, I'm not going to the Trump rally because it's kind of weird how they do it. And I'm looking at the live stream now from the Civic Center here. But our Civic Center, back in the day, we used to have all kinds of rock concerts, but the concerts outgrew it. In other words, now a venue wants to seat 10 to 12,000 people in order to hold a big rock concert because of the cost. Ours holds about 7,000 or 7,500, and the way they do these things, you probably notice them. They call them the overflow TV screens. Is they give away twice as many tickets as these places are holding, because nobody's ever had the amount of attendance that Trump has. So everything is, I don't want to say oversold, because they're not selling the tickets, but they overgive the amount of tickets. And I guess because they want a packed house, so they do that. And then they get to a point where when they're letting you in, you don't know what the count is. Even if you're the first one to get a quote ticket, you still have to go stand in line. People have been standing in line since last night to get in to see Trump today. And I went by there to visit with a whole bunch of people, and there was already about 3,000 people in line. That was at 1 o'clock today. I'm not a line stander. I can't do that kind of stuff. So let's see. Rockin' Bear Bell is in here. 19120 DGON. I don't know what that means, but welcome. Kenneth Drum is in the room. Stefano Dog. Let's see. Recon Smith, Buzz Salmon, Seven Wonders, Brian Noss. Let's see. Charles Lyons is in here. Daniel Waters. I'm Not Will Rogers. Midnight Range. Gun Loving Grandpa. And I'll shout out to you more, you guys, as you roll in. Anyway, I went down there to talk to a bunch of the Trump guys. And odd thing was, and I kind of suspected this, but none of the Trump supporters, the thousands that were there, wanted to talk on camera. I have a really funny suspicion that a lot of the things that I talk about, that maybe the average person that calls themselves pro-gun and then they answer yes to the wrong questions. In other words, you might consider yourself really pro-gun, but somebody comes up to you from a liberal slanted website and they say, "Hey, do you believe in universal background checks?" And they go, "Oh yeah," because you're thinking in your mind background checks. What they're talking about is outlawing private gun sales. Things like that. Or do you think somebody ought to be able to report their abusive spouse and have their guns taken away? Well, when you frame it like that, everybody goes, "Oh yeah." Well, what it really is a red flag gun law. So what I went over there to try to do was talk to some of these people and explain to them what some of these laws were. And I did have a chance to talk to some of the people off camera. Nobody wanted to speak to me on camera. And the crazy thing was, lots of people there could not make the correlation. There were people there whenever I framed my answer, or my question about, abusive spouses. 100% of the people said, yeah, they ought to have their guns taken away. But whenever I framed the question differently and just worded it by the actual legal terminology of a red flag gun law, 100% were against that. And I was like, we are literally describing the exact same thing. We're just using different words. So a lot of the people I don't think they wanted to get caught up in the play on words, and also like the universal background checks. Same thing there. I would ask them, do you think you should be able to sell, like we currently do, sell, give, loan, trade firearms to your son, your brother, your cousin, your friend, anybody like that? 100% of people, yes. I'd say about half of them knew what I was getting at whenever I said, okay, do you support universal background checks? One lady even said, oh, you mean the gun show loophole? I'm like, okay, that's not even no. Yes and no. So yeah, I couldn't get anybody on camera. Now I have some pretty cool video from the actual event, or the thousands of people online. I've actually got Chad, who's with us at Legally Armed America. He's got media credentials and he's in there right now with everybody. And he got media credentials and the Secret Service approved him. So he's over there right now getting some video for me. So we'll have some video from the event, but Chad's not going to go talk to anybody. It's just going to be standard video that he's got. So anyway, I guess you could say it's an eventful day in Lake Charles, Louisiana right now, because the President of the United States is right down the road, and Nick's been here. Some of you guys that are on here are from this area, so you're familiar with it, but Nick's from here. This is not a big area. If anybody's in town, they're not far from here. You can drive from one side of Lake Charles to the other in 20 minutes. So he's downtown right now, and I live south of town in Lake Charles, so he's probably 10, 12 minutes. He's a block or two away from my son's school right now. So anyway, yeah, interesting. Again, not a place I want to be. I'm not totally anti-crowd, but this isn't the kind of crowd that I want to be. This is the kind of place that things happen. I don't want to be there. I don't want to be there at all. If I can't ask Trump the questions that I'd like to ask him, I have no business being there. But anyway, ought to be cool. Again, it's neat that he's here. And it's all for the purpose of governors right now. We do have a governor race tomorrow. Kind of a big governor's race. We currently have a Democratic governor that's a little bit of a dipshit. Excuse my French if your kids are watching. So they're trying to get him out of here, and that's why Trump is down here. It's going to most likely be a runoff. Right now, the incumbent governor has 45% of the polling, and the other two. So it looks like it's probably going to be a runoff. and it looks like the Republican candidate is not going to be in the runoff right now. I don't know if he's libertarian or independent, but he's not Republican or Democrat. Uh, I think that's who it's going to actually be, be between is those two guys. So I think our Democrat governor is going to win again. I'll just say that, even in a runoff. But and you know what, a governor, a Southern Democrat governor is still not like some of those other areas of the country when they have a Democrat governor, because our governors over here know their place and they know that people usually will not tolerate them. So they kind of get in line because they know, again, in the South, it's very rare to have a multi-term Democrat governor. So again, they're known to stay in line. The problem is, and this is where I see it being a problem, is we have the red flag gun laws. This was our second year that Gary Carter, who is a state representative from the New Orleans area, tried to put forth a plagiarized red flag gun law bill, and it failed, of course, but it'll go back in. And my hope is, hopefully it never makes it to the governor's desk, but if it ever does, I'd rather there be a Republican governor there to have at least a shot at it not passing. Yeah, I'm looking at the crowds right now. Pretty good crowds. Let me show you. Oops. How that happened. That's the crowds right now. So not bad. He's got a pretty decent crowd over there right now. They're panning around the crowd right now so you can see more of it. Lake Charles knows how to show out. Look at that. It'll definitely be standing room only. There's no doubt. So anyway, that's it as far as what's going on around here right now. So very interesting that this is happening here. A lot of things going on. A lot of new guns coming out. As you know, we're getting close to the SHOT Show announcements where everybody's going to start announcing the new stuff that you can now see at SHOT Show. Kind of interesting that a lot of these, the timing that a lot of these guns are coming out right now. It's weird. Yeah, I did. S2 Strategic. That's Nick. Says, go park your Jeep there. Good presence. I did. That's why when I went down there earlier, I parked for about an hour and a half to 2 hours. And I made sure I parked up where you weren't supposed to park, so my Jeep would be stuck out, so everybody could see it. So yeah, I made sure. And you know what's messed up is some of the people, and I don't know, I doubt they're on here because they were in line for the Trump thing. There's two people that watch my show on television locally on the Fox network who I did not see in line, which one of the guys I don't know. I'm friends with him on Facebook, but I don't know the guy. I don't even know what he looks like, but we are friends on Facebook. The dude tags me a picture of me walking as I'm walking through the line to ask questions, and I'm like, I was literally walking through the line asking anybody, and he never stopped me. That would have been a perfect person to talk to. So two people did that to me. One of them didn't post a picture of me. One of them just posted a picture of the line and tagged me in it and said, I saw Paul there also with Legally Armed America. This guy actually posted a picture of me, but still didn't come talk to me. I'm like, man, there were gun guys there that surely they would have talked, I know some people are, gun shy, but anyway, yeah, crazy. Yeah, S2 Strategic says if Antifa comes, no more Jeep. Now that's true. Well, Antifa, to be quite honest with you, I don't think they're going to be here. I don't think that we are deep enough in the South where a lot of that stuff just doesn't happen here. Yes, Brian Noss asks, have you been carrying the Hellcat at all? Did you send it back to them? Curious if your take on carrying for a while. Yes, I'm doing it for that very reason. I'm carrying it right now. I'm carrying it in, I've never carried one of these before. This is a crossbreed holster. These are hybrids, of course. They have the leather backing and the Kydex front. Never carried one before. I've always carried an either or. Back when I'd carry a 1911, sometimes I'd carry my 1911s in a nice Galco, complete leather. Just like the way it fit, and it would take that, the whole holster would mold itself according to your body and the pistol, of course, and it fit perfectly. But any of the polymers that I carry, I always carry them in a full Kydex. I like the fact that I get a nice, I think a lot of it has to do with the types of triggers that we're dealing with a Kydex. You know, we're dealing with more of a trigger type safety. So I want some really good trigger protection. And I don't feel like I can get that with a leather holster. So I would carry a Kydex, because not only is there's no cloth to bend in there and snag into that trigger, but also, you know, it's a nice positive insertion. I like when I can hear it audibly snap in there. So I would always carry that. Well, when Springfield sent me this to review, they sent me a bunch of other cool stuff. It sent me a safe. Of course, this had the optic on it, the red dot optic. And they included a hybrid crossbreed holster in there. So I've been carrying that again, my first experience with this. Not bad. I will say I don't know if you can see it, but there's like a line right through there. That's definitely where the gun is kind of pushing through. So it is definitely trying to mold itself to my body. I guess you can see it better like this. Maybe that, right there. Yeah, you can see the mold in there. Anyway, yeah, so far it's easy to carry. I have to really liken this thing to a P365, which, by the way, I will be doing a comparison. The P365, this. I've had a lot of requests for the Taurus G3, I believe it is. It's about the same size. And what else just came out? Oh, Smith & Wesson came out with their new M&P that's around this size. And what else was there? There's something else that's small like this. Gosh, I can't think of what it is. Anyway, I'm before SHOT Show, probably before Christmas, I'll be doing a comparison of all those guns together. I'll run them all together. But yeah, I mean, I still have my issues with Springfield, but so many people had asked me to do a review on this that I went ahead and accepted it and took it, you know, from them whenever they sent it in. Still not happy with them, although they did retract their statement and try to correct some things that they did. Doesn't make them any less slimy than what they are, but I think a lot of companies probably do that. We just don't usually find out that they're being slimy and dirty behind the scenes. But again, I went ahead and accepted this because so many people had asked me, hey, will you please look at the Hellcat when it comes out? So I did. It's a nice little gun. I don't know anybody who's run a lot of rounds through it yet, so I'm not sure from a longevity standpoint. I will say this. First thing I did whenever I shot this is, if you remember, the knock on the 6-hour P365 when it first came out was that due to let me clear this thing. Due to the really short nature of the cycling of the round, of the slide, because it's so short and it has such a powerful recoil spring in it to be able to accommodate that extremely short travel period. Not that there's anything wrong with the primer drag, because again, it's how it has to function. But best example I can do of it, let's see here. Maybe I can do this with, all right, let's say this is our firing pin and this is the round. Okay, or this is the spent casing or the casing. What would happen when these things cycle in such a really short period of time is, of course, the firing pin strikes, and as soon as it strikes, it's wanting to retract and go back. It's spring-loaded, of course, or the slide. It's spring-loaded as it goes forward, but the slide is the recoil of it, and the inertia is pulling, excuse me, the firing pin back with the inertia of the slide going backwards. So, bam, it hits, and then it's immediately falling backwards. But also what you have is you have your extractor that's grabbing the lip of that spent casing and dragging it out also. The firing pin and the extractor are hooked onto the slide so that they both move in unison with one another. So they're never going to be any farther apart because they're connected to the same thing. So what happens was that on the SIG, it was hitting And as that extractor was pulling the casing out, the firing pin was trying to go backwards also. And as it was going backwards, you know, you've got a locking system basically like the John Browning locking lug system. So that the back of that, if you look how I'm trying to push it up, the back of the casing kind of tilts because the barrel itself is tilting from going, it's unlocking and rising back up. When it would do that, the firing pin was trying to get out of the way. So when the thing would unlock, it would drag like that. So you would see your pierce mark where the firing pin pierced the primer, but you'd also see a slight drag like that. So you'd see your line, and then you'd see your dot, and then a small line. Well, from a metallurgy standpoint, when you're building something like that, and I'm not trying to speak down to you guys. I know most of you already know this, but just for those that may not. When you're building something like this, you have a challenge when you're doing your metallurgy. You have to make, in this case, your firing pin has to be hard enough to not bend, but it has to be soft enough to not break. Because if the metal is too hard, where it doesn't bend at all, there's no give whatsoever. I'm talking about microscopic, minute bending. If it's too hard where there's no give, then it will break, it'll snap, it becomes brittle. So the problem was they had made these things too hard and too brittle. And over time, some of the tips of these firing pins were breaking off because that primer drag, when that firing pin would hit and that primer drag would hit, it was taxing that thing. And over time, it would just snap that tip off. SIG did fix that. So you still see your primer drag because, again, it's the really short cycling that you're dealing with. There's not much real estate right there. I mean, very little room to go backwards. We're talking about a pretty strong recoil string to hurry up and send that thing backwards to get that slide out of the way as quick as possible to get that spent casing out of there. You just don't have a long slide to deal with everything that's going on right there. So anyway, they fixed it. So you're still going to have your primer drag on your primers. You just, now you can rest assured that your firing pins are okay in your SIGs. I don't know about these guys. So it's got massive primer drag. Whenever I pulled and looked at one of the spent casings, I mean, it's got a definite dot where the primer is punched, and it looks like a minus sign right behind it. I mean, it's very, very, very obvious. Now, surely Sig Sauer and the Croatians who are making this, surely they learned from SIG's mistake and did not make this same mistake. Surely they did. I would be amazed if they have the exact same problem that Sig Sauer did. So let's hope this is going to be fine as a bunch of rounds are being run through it. I'm really hoping right now because I've been carrying the thing for a week. So I'm really hoping that it'll hold up. So anyway, guys, that's it on the Hellcat. You know what's weird is, let me see. I know that Faxon Arms, what was theirs called? Hellfire. Okay, a Hellfire. I got you. Okay, I was just curious because there is a gun coming out called the Hellfire, and it's by Inner Ordnance, but it's not a pistol. It is going to be a pistol caliber carbine with a, I think they're going to do an SB tactical brace on it. We're going to be doing a lot of stuff on it. Those guys reached out to us and asked us if we would do a lot of their marketing push on it for them, and we said yes, we would, because there's some good guys we've talked about. Yeah, real quick, Court Wilson says, what about the SIG P365 SAS? That's a pretty unique little gun there. If you guys haven't heard of the SAS, the Sig Sauer P365 for the most part looks and has the features of this particular gun right here, which again, this is the Hellcat by Springfield Armory. But what SIG did on that SAS is they took the raised post front sight and the rear sight, took them completely off, and there's like this milled line right through the top of the slide, and that's your point. They took all the snags, any snag points, potential snag points, off completely. So it's like a really snag-free gun. Pretty cool looking. I'm going to get my hands on one. I'll do a review on one. Not sure from a functionality standpoint, it's going to function just like the other gun. But I have said many, many times that when we're dealing with concealed carry guns, most handguns, especially a self-defense handgun, but especially these really small pistols like this, sights are cool. They're nice to have, especially if you're training. It's great to condition yourself to look for them. But when you're in a high stress situation and you're yanking that gun out of your holster and you're actually having to use it to protect yourself and your family, so few people are seeing those front sights anyway, if they're even looking down the dang muzzle like this. I mean, some people might be shooting like this. I mean, it's unlikely that you're going to be in a perfect scenario where you're going to be able to utilize those sights. So having that SAS, that P365, I don't think that's a bad idea because, again, most of these guns are point and shoot guns. So, yeah, we'll see. I'll get my hands on one and we'll mess with it and, take it around the block a few times and see what it's like. Let's see. Anti-gun legislation hasn't been a whole lot talked about here recently. I think a lot of these elections, people are letting these elections get out of the way before they go back into that. I think that probably the Democrats have been quiet in Washington about it also because they don't want to hurt any of their candidates that are running for either governorships or state houses or anything like that in some of these other areas because they realize that these people might be asked some questions. Do you support this particular law that's being pushed in Congress right now? And the answers won't be good, especially in the southern states. And, actually, I guess you could almost say as long as you're not on one of the coasts, it's probably bad whenever you say that you support those things. So I think they're being really quiet so that no one asks these questions, these critical questions to these people and risk costing them votes in any of these really critical elections. So I think that's why everybody's quiet. Expect over the next few weeks that to ramp back up again, at least before the end of the year, and people will start pushing again for the the red flag gun laws and the universal background checks and things of that nature. Let's see what else. Oh, I just did my video on the Henry American Eagle rifle. What a beautiful rifle that is. Very, very cool stuff right there. I really enjoyed that one. I'm trying to think if I'm making it out to video this weekend. I don't remember what I'm going over, but I do plan to make it out some this weekend. Let's see. Oh, I do have, speaking of Nick, I don't know if Nick is still on here from S2 Strategic, but Nick came in and did a really cool class with us on, I guess, the fundamentals of knives and knife fighting, protecting yourself from knives, disarming somebody that might have a knife. And I did a lot of video with him on that also. So it was really cool to have Nick down here and do that with us. So I've got a lot of video. I hopefully in the next few weeks, a lot of my time is going to free up. So I'm going to start putting some of those together. So look forward to that. That's going to be some really cool. I mean, I learned a ton. I can't wait to get Nick back down here again because I learned so much just in that close quarter combat thing. So many people feel like and think that just because they have a gun that they assume that they're gonna have the time to draw that gun too. Not always the case, and usually your pocket knife, maybe right there, or disarming somebody that has a knife. So again, look for some pretty cool stuff from S2 Strategic on my show very, very soon. That's going to be very cool. Guys, if y'all don't mind, I plan on heading out of here kind of early. I'm going to run downstairs. I am drinking a beer, which this one's getting hot. I'm going to run downstairs and watch the Trump rally from right down the road and work on some stuff that I got a couple of guns I got to clean. But I'm going to go check the rally out, see how he does. If you guys are watching it on TV or online or whatever, again, that's 10 minutes from my house. So, that's right where we're at. So hopefully you guys will have a great weekend. I do plan on making this back, doing some consistency. I have a lot of stuff going on. You'll see some of the stuff on my videos. I played music 25 years ago in a band. And we're doing a big fundraiser for autism on Black Friday this year. So my old band from 25 years ago is getting back together to raise funds for autism awareness. So that's been taking up a lot of my time because we're talking about guys who haven't played music together in 25 years. So we're having to get some rehearsals in. So there's a lot of stuff going on right now. And I'm not complaining. It's just, it is what it is. And of course, holidays are coming up now too. So my apologies to you guys. I don't take it lightly that we can't catch up and have these Friday chats. I love the Friday chats. I've always have, and we've been pretty consistent with them. So my goal is, if we don't have band rehearsal next Friday, which I don't think we have it scheduled for next Friday, I should be right back here again. And let's try to get back into our normal groove of doing our Friday night get together again, guys, because I really do enjoy it, and I look forward to y'all's comments. And like I've told y'all before, I always go, when we're done, I go downstairs and I look at everything, all your comments, and just kind of read through them. I get as much interest out of watching you guys' comments as you probably do, talking amongst yourselves. So I appreciate the kind of feedback you guys provide, and I always look forward to this. So guys, have a great weekend. Please be safe if you go to the range. Beautiful weather down here tomorrow. We're going to have great temperatures, sunshine, so it's going to be really, really cool. So hopefully you guys will have, similar weather also. Enjoy yourselves. Be safe. Please be safe. I'm home, so I'm going to drink me a couple of beers. If you're drinking, please don't drive. Find yourself a designated driver. If you don't drink, you can still have fun with us. We appreciate you guys hanging out with us. So, folks, I will see you next Friday night. Please be safe and have a great weekend, folks.